Hello, good morning, good evening, good day, good afternoon, and aloha. Welcome back to another episode of Blue Reviews. I'm your host, actor, improviser, overall cool dude out here in LA, Jimenez. Welcome back to the show. If you haven't already, do all that good stuff for the algorithm. Like, share, subscribe. We truly appreciate it. I am so happy you're here. We have our episode 6 review today of The Last of Us. So if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, we're going to be ruining the entire episode for you if you haven't watched it or played the video game. So recommend doing both because this show's getting really good. I'm going to be running solo today. Jeremy unfortunately couldn't make it. He's got family in town, but he'll be here next week. And so let's dig into this episode, shall we, guys? Because it's a pretty damn good one. Grant Levac, thank you so much for being here, my friend. Always a pleasure to have you here, my dude. Grant Levac, OG supporter of the show, from my friend down under. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's do it, shall we? So we pick up the episode 3 months later after the events of Kansas City and that huge bloater monster. And the very first scene of the show is Ellie or it was Joel having a nightmare about Henry killing himself and killing his brother. And that was the very first thing they showed. And so they wake up from that and, we see it's 3 months later. It's snowing. And it seems like they're definitely a lot farther west than they were the last time we saw them in episode 5. Let's see here. So we have them, and then after that happens, there's it pops into the present day, and we have an opening scene with in a cabin with 2 Native American characters, and they were really funny. Actually, I'm going to look them up on IMDb because this one Native American actor he's in everything. I think the first movie that really comes to mind for some reason is Free Willy. He was like, I could be wrong. I know he was for sure in Die Hard 3, and that's another one of my favorite flicks. But yeah, hold on one second here. Let me look up this episode. Episode 6. All right, so Last of Us TV series. Let me see episode 6. Okay. Right here. Got to get this actor's name because, Graham Greene. I'm going to show you guys a picture of him here on the screen. Give me 2 seconds because you'll know him as soon as you see him. He's just an iconic 90s. This guy's been acting for easily 30 years on the big screen. So it's, that's not an easy feat. Here we have him here, Graham Greene. He plays Marlon in the show. Everybody knows this guy. He's been I'm just curious to check out 163 acting credits. 163. That's insanely impressive. It goes on forever. All the films that this guy has been in. It's insane. Literally the definition of a working actor. He's, no A-list actor, but you don't need to be an A-list actor to have an insanely awesome career. You don't have to win an Oscar to make a living. And this guy has shown it. And he's had some really great roles. And he's a great actor. Won't shock me if at some point, he does get a role that gives him an Oscar nod. He was in The Green Mile and Dances with Wolves. So I'm wondering if he was Kicking Bird in Dances with Wolves. I don't know if IMDb credits actor. I don't think they show any awards for IMDb, but I'm curious. I bet if we Google him or Graham Greene, Wikipedia. Oh no, wait, did I spell his name wrong? Graham Greene. Huh. That's weird. Canadian actor? Nobody's written a Wikipedia back this guy? Okay. All right. Oh, all right. I didn't know he was Canadian. So there you go. That's on me. But he's from the Six Nations Reserve, Ontario, Canada. I'm sorry I'm like deep diving, but I'm just curious. He's been acting since 1979. Let's see if he's the awards that he's won, if he's ever been up for okay, so nominations and awards. Okay, so he was up for an Academy Award, Best Supporting Actor for Dances with Wolves. He won a Gemini Award, um, Storyteller, Lifetime Achievement Awards, RNCI Red Nation Awards for Longmire. Wow, that's pretty impressive. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and he didn't win, but that's still pretty cool. And like I said, like I would kill to have this guy's career. Kill. I'm sure he gets all the stuff. I know you from somewhere. Anyway, all right, moving on. I had to deep dive there. I had to sidetrack. I hope you don't mind. Okay, so but the reason why it was a really killer little funny scene. Joel basically makes Ellie hide. He doesn't kidnap, but he holds hostage Graham Greene's wife. Let me see the name of his character in this, because they didn't say their names in the show. So he plays Marlon, and he's in 2 episodes, so it looks like we're going to get him again. And then his wife, Elaine Miles, who was just the most adorable little actress. And the banter between the two of them, they're clearly married in the show, but the chemistry was so good. It was such a funny scene, because basically you could tell that Pedro Pascal had interrogated her, and also she was just going along with it. She gave him soup. She gave him all the answers that he was looking for. I think in part because she knew he wasn't there to hurt him, because he did have Ellie. So Marlon walks into the situation, and there's a back and forth about the soup, and just like, wait, you gave them soup? She's like, yeah, they were hungry. and Joel explains to Marlon that he's not here to hurt them. He just wants information, and the easiest, most, the safest way west, because they're looking to get west. And they make it very clear to them that, look, there is no safe way west. The only safe way west is east. Once you hit a river, once you go past that river, it's nothing but death. And so they leave that cabin, and they start to make their way towards South Dakota, if I'm not mistaken, where he's trying to find his brother. And so let me see here. Let me just take a look at my notes. He asked Marlon about his brother Tommy. He had never seen him, and that if he's west, he's probably dead. And so they continue on their journey. And so on their journey, there's a really cool little scene between Ellie and Joel, where Joel opens up a flask. It takes a shot of whatever alcohol is in there, and Ellie asks for a sip. And at first Joel's like, no. And she's like, please give me a sip. Like, I just want it to keep warm. I'm not looking to get drunk off it. And he doesn't hesitate. He gives it right to her. She takes a sip. And of course it's gross, because she's only a kid, and all liquor is gross to kids. So let's see here. Joel, of course, we start to learn that Ellie's really trying to get to know Joel constantly on this excursion. She's always asking him questions, and he's always kind of deflecting. But every once in a while, he does sort of give a little. He is a little bit vulnerable, and I think a lot of that is his defense systems kicking up because again, he's really starting to care for Ellie. He really is genuinely scared that he's going to lose her. And there is a moment when they leave that cabin where he it looks like he almost like he's having about to have a stroke or a heart attack. He's has a hard time catching his breath, and he has to use the pole to keep his balance. And what we learn is that's the fear, like the fear and is gripping him just like it did with his daughter. He doesn't want to lose Ellie. Like it's becoming so important to him, and it's weighing on him so heavily that he's starting to have many panic attacks. And so that's the first one that we see in the episode, and we learn more a little bit that about that as we go on. But Joel reveals to her that his dream was to be a singer, and in the video game he played guitar and he did sing. I don't know if he was a contractor in the video game, but yeah, it was just an interesting moment of like again vulnerability and her trying to get to know Joel. Let me put this down a little bit. There we go. And so Ellie then reveals to Joel, and I thought this was really cool, that she wants to go to space, and how she read about all of the Apollo space missions, and she knew who Neil Armstrong was and Buzz Aldrin, and then and uh, they both said on the best astronaut ever is Sally Ride, and Ellie, that's her favorite astronaut, primarily because what better name is there in the entire space program than Sally Ride? And as she said, that was like, that's actually true. That is the best name in space exploration history, Sally Ride. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she was she part of, I don't think she was part of the Apollo missions, but I think she was part of the shuttle mission that blew up. So that was obviously her life was cut short, but great name and just a cool moment. Also the sort of the idea of going to space, going to the moon, to get away from Earth because it's a hellhole. And sort of to underline that hellhole, there's some really interesting moments throughout the episode where Ellie finds a diary. Actually, we'll get there in a second. But yeah, she's like insanely inquisitive. She's really smart, and she wants Joel to know that, because there's a moment where they set up camp, and Ellie's like, do you want me to take first or second watch? And Joel's like, I'll do both. And next scene, we find Joel asleep again. He fell asleep again, and did not hear Ellie wake up and take watch. She took watch most of the second, if not all the second shift, and some of the first. So she ended up taking watch, and she explains to him, she's like, I could do it. Like I'm doing exactly what you taught me. I'm looking for tracks. I'm circling the perimeter. I'm listening for certain things, yada yada. And I think in that moment, he's like, he really understands that he's not the same Joel he was 15, let alone 20 years ago. He would have never fallen asleep on a watch. He would have never sort of been overtaken by that guy in Kansas City that she had to kill to help save his life. And he knows that, and it's starting to really mess with him psychologically, because he knows he's not as sharp, he's not as strong, he's not as fast to help protect the thing that he is really starting to care for. And so, not the thing, but the human in Ellie. So yeah, just again, that was a cool moment to sort of set up what's going to happen in this episode. And this was a really story driven. There was not a ton of action in this, if at all. There was some good tense moments and really funny moments, like for the the opening scene. But yeah, this was really just a relationship episode, like really digging into the relationships between brothers, husband and wife, and now father daughter. Like it's becoming that strong. And so yeah. Black Cat Report, thank you so much for being here. Glad you're watching the show. And yeah, guys, if you guys have any opinions or anything, you're sort of my co-host for the day. So if you want to chime in, I'm going to be reading all your comments, and yeah, we'll do that at the end of before we do our final review. So okay, so then when he either before they sleep or again just sort of on their travel, Ellie especially begins to wonder and tells Joel about Henry, and oh, what's that little kid's name? I forgot. Anyway, where she tells Joel that she knew he got bit, and how she tried to cut herself and put her blood into his cut to see if it would heal him. And she obviously explains, I know that was stupid, but I didn't want to lose him. I just wanted to try. And so then that starts to bring up the questions of, will this vaccine work when they get there? Like, what are they going to do when they get there? Let's say, even if it does work, like, and they start to really sort of like wonder, oh shit, like, what will we try and do if this vaccine works? If the vaccine actually helps the world, what are your dreams and aspirations? And so, let's see here. They start to talk about that. And the one thing that she learns about Joel as well is that if the vaccine ends up working, that Joel really wants a ranch, and he wants to tend to sheep. He wants to tend to sheep, and the reason he gives is because they don't talk a lot, or they don't talk at all. Kind of looking at her like, yeah, you're a lot more difficult to handle than sheep. And I don't want to hear anybody, again, putting up those walls, those defensive walls to give the impression that he doesn't care, but really he does. So, just cool little moments like that build us up to, they're going west, and they're trying to figure out if they're on the right path. And then boom, they get surrounded by a group of we don't know, marauders, raiders. They're human, they're on horseback, and there's a very, very, very tense moment where this group is like, shut the fuck up, put your gun, kick it away, basically, have her step back away from you. And of course, this is stoking a lot of fear in Joel, because if these guys want to kill them, they can't. They're completely vulnerable. All they have is the ability to try and talk themselves out of this situation. And like the entire, every inch of this world, it seems like humans are insanely untrustworthy, and for good reasons. We've already discussed this whole sort of thing, but in this moment, it's tense because they could die. And there's nothing that Joel could do. Maybe they take her, maybe they kill him and take her. Like, I'm sure there's all sorts of scenarios that are going through his mind as this is happening. And he tries to talk, and every time he does try to engage with them, they shut it down immediately. They don't want to hear. They've heard every story in the book, guy. We don't need to hear your bullshit. And so they put a dog. They send essentially a German Shepherd to sniff them to see if they're carrying the virus. And so the dog first sniffs Joel, And of course, Joel doesn't have anything, but they're unsure how this dog will react to Ellie. And there was a really good building of tension there. Because basically this guy says, if you have it, this dog's gonna tear you apart. And so yeah, it was a good moment where the dog starts to sniff Ellie, he's growling, and you're like, oh shit, are they in trouble? Is this dog gonna think that she has it because she's a vaccine and the dog doesn't understand the difference? And just as you think the thing's gonna tear her apart, it's licking her face, and the dog is very friendly. And they ask Joel what they're doing out here, and he says that I'm looking for my brother. And then somebody else in the group chimes in and asks his name. And he says, Joel. And then boom, we cut to, and this is when we're introduced to Maria. Maria is the person who asked the question. We basically cut to them entering the compound because clearly she knows who his brother is and she's going to take him to him. She's heard of him because her brother has spoken about him. And I guess she sees the resemblance and she puts two and two together and she's like, this has got to be Joel. And so they take him to the compound on horses. As they come into the compound, it's really, really cool. I just liked it a lot because the compound was a castle. It was a wooden and iron castle that you would see from medieval times. It's like we have gone backwards as far as the amenities and the building materials that we build things from. So we just go back to the things that we know that work to keep out hordes and dangerous things, and those are castles with walls and huge doors. And so it was a really, I don't know what it was about it, but I was like, that is so cool. Like, that is so cool, and it makes sense. I think the first thing I'd want to do is build a fucking castle with with towers and people patrolling. So like, it just makes sense. And so, yeah, I don't know why, but I thought that was really, really cool. And so this is Wyoming. This is Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where they actually shot this entire episode. And everything is practical effects. The actual town they shot in is a real town. All of those businesses agreed to be in the show and stop their businesses to essentially transform the town into whatever the production team wanted. And so it was really cool when they enter this town. Joel and Ellie come in and they're like, kids are staring at them and the whole town is stopped because it's like a Western. The town is very small. Everybody knows everybody. And as soon as two new people come in through the doors, everybody's like, oh, new people. And so all eyes are on them. And then Joel sees his brother, Tommy, and Tommy's building a house or something, working on a barn. And he calls out his name and boom, brothers reunite. And it's, obviously after a huge embrace, they miss each other. There's a moment where it's Ellie, Maria, Joel, and Tommy. And Joel wants to talk to Tommy, but not in front of Maria because he doesn't know her, and even not even in front of Ellie in a lot of ways because he's very defensive. Again, he wants to put walls up. He doesn't want anybody listening to a conversation with his brother. So the undertone in the scene is like, hey, can I? He even asks, he's like, hey, I would love to talk to my brother in private. It's a family sort of issue. And that's when Tommy informs Joel that Maria is technically family because they're married. That's his wife. So that was a shock. And it was really funny because Ellie's like, wow, congratulations. And silence. And then she looks at Joel. She's like, this is where you say congratulations, Joel. And he's like, or congrats, Joel. And he goes, congrats. No, with zero emotion whatsoever. And so then we cut to the town that has a bar. They've got ice, they've got glasses, they've got liquor. So he pours Joel some liquor, and they sit there and talk privately in the bar. And he tells, Tommy asks him um, about his girlfriend or his partner. I'm forgetting her name right now, but and he lies to him. He's like, "Oh, she's fine. Everything's good with her." And he's like, "Okay, good." And he's like, "Who's the girl?" And he's like, lying, being very deceptive, essentially, not telling his brother the truth. I think partly because he wants to get his story first before he gives him what's happened to him. And so he says that essentially Ellie is just a job. I'm doing this because it's a job, and I'm there's payment connected to her. Very cold, very he doesn't want to let off that he cares about Ellie whatsoever. And his brother sniffs out the bullshit immediately. He's like, "That's not you. You don't do that." And we learn here in this dynamic between his brother, and we'll talk about Ellie and Maria in a second, that Joel has done some really evil shit. He's really done some bad things, and his brother Tommy was helped him in doing those bad things. And Maria knows that, so she doesn't really like Joel. Never met him. This is the first time, but from the stories that she hears, her understanding of it is that Joel is her big brother and his influence, and wherever he goes, Tommy will follow. And so, she's very hesitant about this reunion. She's worried about it because she knows Joel's past. And so when we hear them talking in the bar, they're very that is sort of at the forefront of the conversation. Like in a lot of ways, he's saying that he needs to get this girl to the University of Colorado. And Tommy's like, "Okay, great. We'll give you a horse and you could go. It's not that far. You should be able to do it. You're more than capable." And he's like, "No, I need you to do it." And he's like, "Well, I'm not going to do it. I've got a family here now." And then he reveals to Joel that Maria's pregnant and that, he's going to be an uncle. And Joel, I wrote it down here. Let me see what his response to that. So he doesn't want to leave the commune, and he's going to be a father. Tommy thinks he would be a good father, so Tommy thinks he's going to be a good dad. And Joel responds to that with, "I guess we'll find out." And that pisses Tommy off. That really upsets him. And so they get into an argument, and then that's when we cut to Ellie in a house, and on this bed, she's like in a room kind of checking things out, and on this bed she's given clothes and an ability to take a shower again, and there's also feminine products on the bed. And so that was an interesting moment to see a kid sort of discover this. And we learned that Maria, obviously she's a woman herself, and so she, they have these provisions. So basically, if you need any lessons on how to use it, I can show you how to use a tampon or a cup for women's menstruation. And so just things to think about in the apocalypse, like, and what just a little piece of plastic, the world of difference it would make for somebody in a situation like that. And it does, like it would. Let me see here. Oh, thank you so much, Black Cat Report. All the love back at you. Have you played the game? I have played the game, but it's been a long time. I played it when it came out, so it's been a while. I don't remember every detail of the game, but I remember the big parts. We're going to get to one of those moments here in a second. So Ellie and Maria hang out, and after she gets out of the shower, Maria gives her a haircut and a tour of the commune. And there's a movie theater. It's essentially, and this was an interesting moment too, because Maria's explaining to Joel and to Ellie that everything within this commune, everybody shares. Like somebody owns the horses, but those horses are for everyone. Someone owns the garden and runs the garden, but the food in the garden is for everyone, and everyone rotates. Everyone does their share, and everyone does every single job within the commune. And so I wrote it down here. Something about communism. I think Joel says, "So you're communists." And Tommy's like, "No, we're not communists." And then Maria chimes in, "Well, yes, we are communists. This is a commune. Um, so technically speaking, yes, we are communists." And Joel and Tommy exchange a look. And I have a feeling just it's the same look that I kind of had to myself. Oh, we're doing communism. Communism is a good thing, and we're putting that out there on American television as a good thing. But in this situation, I think it would be. Again, the biggest problem with communism is not the idea of it. On paper, I think it's really good, but in execution, it's nearly impossible, because there's always, with communism, there always has to be one leader, and then that leader, ego, all sorts of things start to inflate the leader's importance, and it just never works. It never works. And those two characters being Latino, I'm not sure what Latino country they may have originated from, but I know South America has their fair share of dictators, and I know that Cuba has its fair share of dictators. It's had it for hundreds of years. And so, I can understand how a Latino character would hear the word communism and immediately kind of, what? No. So that was a cool moment. And I hope they kind of dig into that moment a little more, and the idea of communism, and how that ends up working in the long term for this commune. We'll see. Maybe they will. I'd be interested to know what that look was all about. I hope they kind of dig into it a little more. So that was interesting. So let's see here. Okay, so then we get a moment where Maria takes Ellie to the movies. And it's a pretty cool moment because she's never been to the movies. And so the whole town gathers to watch just reruns of old films. And it's a really cool moment. I did enjoy this. But while she's in there, Joel is, taking a shower and sort of, doing the things that, cleaning up, just resting essentially. And he ends up having another conversation with his brother, but this time his brother comes with a peace offering in the form of new boots, because he noticed that Joel's boots were like almost gone. And there was a moment earlier in the episode where Joel is wrapping his boot in duct tape, so his boots are worn almost to nothing. And so his brother starts to see, giving him a pair of boots, and then that's when Joel just, all the walls come crumbling down for Joel emotionally. This is a really powerful moment because Joel essentially divulges to his brother who Ellie is and why she's so important and why he's doing what he's doing and what happened to his partner, a few months back in Boston, and how she died. And her dying wish was to get this kid to the Fireflies in California or the University of Colorado, wherever they got to go. And his first mission though was to find Tommy, and and to get back to him. And but then he reveals to Tommy he begs Tommy to take Ellie to the University of Colorado to continue the journey without him, because when he dreams, he can't remember his dreams, but he knows in his dreams he's failing at something really important. And the fear of that failure is losing Ellie, is losing his daughter all over again. And he is so afraid he doesn't want to live through that again. He's been living in this hellscape without his kid for 20 years. And it is really, you could tell that he's never had the proper moment to deal with that emotionally. And it's a powerful, powerful moment. He's begging his brother. He's like, I can't, I'm falling asleep on my watches. He tells her about how Ellie had to kill that guy that 15 years ago he would have destroyed. He would have never even gotten that far. And that how that terrifies the hell out of him, and that he can't deal with the pain of losing Ellie again. And it's a powerful moment. It really shows how great of an actor Pedro Pascal is. I mean, he really shines. It's probably the best acting moment of the whole show. And Tommy agrees. And for Tommy to agree to that, it's his brother. He's gonna help his brother, their blood. And I think that decision right there is what Maria feared, is a request that would take Tommy away from her and possibly put his life in danger. And that's exactly what his brother has asked him to do. And so her fears literally come true. Although we don't see that part. We don't see that emotion or a scene from her between her and Tommy about, what the hell are you doing? Why doesn't he take her? That doesn't happen. The next scene we see is Joel and Ellie. And this is the scene that's taken directly from the game, almost verbatim. And it was cool to hear the directors and producers after the show talk about this moment. And so it was essentially, Joel tells Ellie that in the morning she's going to go to the University of Colorado with her brother Tommy. And of course she's pissed. She's upset. She's like, no, I don't want to go with Tommy. I want to go with you, because she cares for him as well. They love each other. Like this is a legitimate relationship that they're attached to each other. They can never be separated as far as they're concerned. And no matter how much either one of them don't want to admit that. But Ellie admits that here. She's like, and she also calls him out for the same thing. And it's a moment, where Joel is, Ellie calls out Joel for actually caring about her. And this is why he's pushing her away. And she doesn't want him to leave, obviously. And there's a moment where, she says, like, I'm not your daughter. I think Sam is her name. I'm not Sam. I'm not going to die. You're not going to lose me. And he immediately stops her right in her tracks. Is like, you're skating on some thin ice here. And she's like, I don't give a shit. I'm not her. Okay. And I do not want to take another step on this journey without you. And he coldly says, well, tough shit. That's the way it is. But you can tell that there's a lot more he wants to tell her. But I think, like with anything that you're trying to get rid of that you really love, I think you try to abuse it, try to make it not want you, express, put an outward feeling and emotions that you don't want to be loved. And hopefully they will take that as rejection and go away. And that's what you want them to do. But of course, love conquers all, right? Love conquers all. So the next morning, Ellie is ready to go. She's got all her stuff packed, and she is sitting waiting for the knock at the door. And the knock at the door comes, and you could see on her face that when the door opens, she wants it so bad to be Joel. And it's not. It's her brother, Tommy. And there was also another interesting moment before that door opens that, Joel tells Ellie, like, you don't know loss. And she's like, fuck you. I don't know loss. Every single person that I've ever loved is either dead or has left me except for you. And so I'm not going to just let you walk away from me And so that was that was the moment. And then, knock at the door, Tommy comes in, and she's, I think she's mentally sort of like, okay, let's go. Fine. This is same shit as usual. Same shit as usual. But she's an adult now. I think the one thing that I wanted to say, and I wrote this down, is in the last episode, the death of Henry and his brother. That was the end of her childhood officially. She is now a woman starting episode 6. She's taking watch, she's defending herself, and she's intellectually challenging the adults in the room, and doing a really good job and holding her own doing that. And so, I think when Tommy comes through the door, she's mentally in that mode. She's like, okay, fine, fuck them. Like, they don't want me. Fine. I'll do this on my own. I'm ready to go. Here are my bags. I'm packed. Let's go. They get to the stall where they're, about to get on some horses, and Joel's there. And we all know why he's there, right? But he's like, well, I was supposed to leave a half hour ago. I was going to steal a horse. And his brother's like, you could have just asked us. And he's like, I know. And it was a funny moment. And then, Joel pipes up and is like, look, I wanted to tell you that I think you should have an opportunity to at least choose who you want to go with, me or Tommy. And she immediately just envelops him in a hug. And it's like, of course you, like, duh. Right. So Tommy stays. Joel takes her, and it's a really, really cool moment. It's like, you knew this was going to happen, but it was just still nice to see. It was heartwarming. And what's great about it is you can see instantly, as this journey starts out of Wyoming to Colorado, the relationship is a lot different. All of those barriers that Joel has put up are gone. Any question that Ellie asks, he answers it now. We even begin this journey, Joel teaching Ellie how to shoot. And she's missing through this really cool sniper rifle, and Joel cocks it once and bam, nails the target. And it was just like, they're bonding, but now they're bonding without the barriers. They're genuinely getting to know each other. And so, and again, care for each other. And it's cool. So they get to the University of Colorado, and they find that it's empty. There was another moment from the video game where there's monkeys, wild monkeys, all over the University of Colorado. They were research monkeys that just got out, and now they're wild, packs of monkeys everywhere. So that was cool. And again, a direct pull from the game. They start looking around the university, and they see signs of the fireflies have been there, but for the most part, it looks really, really empty. And as they go inside, they tie up the horse, they go inside, looking for more information or looking for someone that can maybe help them. Nobody's there, and they see a map of possibly where this team of fireflies or resistance group or doctors maybe were ushered to. There's a map of the United States, and it looks like they went even further west. So I guess we'll get more information about that in the next episode. But as they're looking at that, raiders show up. Okay, so raiders in the game are essentially, nomads, pirates that will kill and steal your shit. And so they see them, and they quietly and as quickly as possible get to the horse. And as they get to the horse, one of the raiders rushes Joel. He, what looks like, just absolutely rocks this guy, breaks his neck. And then as he turns around to see if Ellie's okay, she's like, oh my God, that was awesome. And then looks down, and Joel has been stabbed with the edge of the club that the raider tried to swipe at him. He broke the club on the tree, but got stabbed with the broken handle. He pulls it out, and falls right to it. He doesn't fall, but she's like, as soon as he pulls it out, that's when the other raiders show up. They get him on the horse and they ride away, and they escape barely, and we end the episode with Joel collapsing off the horse, and he's in bad shape, and Ellie is begging him essentially not to die, and telling him, I can't do this without you. I don't even know where the fuck I am. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And so that's where we end the episode. And so there's a sneak peek of the next week's episode. Doesn't look like it looks like a time jump episode. It looks like it's going to be the story of Ellie before she met Joel. So I think that's where the timeline's going to go next, and they're going to save what happens to Joel for episode. This would be episode 7 coming up next, so episode 8. And I think they're. Let me check IMDb, but I think they're only okay. They are doing 10 episodes, so we got 10 episodes, not 8. So maybe in episode 8 they'll come back to Joel, and we'll find out what happens with him. But yeah, right now it's, we'll see what happens to Joel. I'm not going to spoil the video game ending because I want to see if it happens in the show. And it seems like we're going to get there. We shall see. But who knows? Maybe they change that. And I don't want to say what that is because I don't want to ruin the show for people who haven't seen it. So, we'll play it by ear, as they say. So that's it. That's the episode. I'm curious to know what you guys think. We've got a couple more comments here. Oh, we got Renee Cruz in the house. What's up, Renee Cruz? So happy you're here. Thank you for being here. She was stoked about the tampons in the previous episode. Yes, she was. I can tell you cups. I could be wrong on this, but cups I feel like are a lot better for some women depending on the flow. To each their own, as they say. But yeah, I know for women, the apocalypse would be an absolute nightmare. I mean, everyday life is absolute nightmare for women. So let alone adding a layer of the apocalypse on top of that. Renee Cruz, what's up? Cocaine Bear movie. Ooh, you know what? You just kind of inspired me. Maybe when does Cocaine Bear movie come out? I think that comes out pretty soon. We should do a review of it. Let's see here. Cocaine Bear. Maybe you know what? Maybe we'll do a watch party with my sketch team, and then we'll do an after show with the crew. Cocaine Bear film. Let me see when that comes out. La 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 la. February 23rd. Okay. What's today? Monday? So Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Comes out this Thursday. I don't know if we'll see if we can make it happen this weekend. Let's see if we can make it happen this weekend. I'll try and watch Cocaine Bear this weekend so we can have a review of it next Tuesday. But yeah, great suggestion, Renee. I wasn't even thinking of that. Thank you so much. Thursday, 5 p.m. AMC Lowe's Metreon. I'm assuming you got tickets already. That's awesome. M3D14, thank you so much for being here. This episode made me bawl just as hard as the game did. It was a good one. This one I didn't cry because I don't think we got as much loss as we did in the last episode, but it was it was good. For sure, Pedro Pascal's scene was, I think, the best acted scene in the show so far. Renee Cruz saw Shin Ultraman. Lou, no, I haven't seen Shin Ultraman yet. Is it good? Tim F, of course, with the usual rock on back to you, my dude. Got to bounce. Love you, Lou. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Black Cat Report. Thank you so much for being here. Renee Cruz says, please, gently and kindly, press the share, like, and sub and save button. And buy both Lou Reviews merch, gear, stickers, chats, super chats, and join members. Thank you. Helps channel's algorithm. I truly appreciate it, although we have no merch. There's no merch no longer here on the channel, but who knows, maybe one day we'll have it back up again. But everything else still applies. I appreciate it, Renee. Thank you so much. the kinds of folks that would steal your car. uh, what was to go with Joel's heart palpitations earlier in the episode? Oh, yeah. So Joel's heart palpitations. That was so he had it a couple more times, and we learn in that scene with his brother, and then later with Ellie that that fear is what is causing those heart palpitations. Like he's like, it's gripping me so bad that I can't breathe. And this is when he reveals to his brother all the truth, everything, after he gives him those boots. So it was in that scene. Thank you for the reminder, Grant. Yeah. It was yeah. So he does reveal that in that scene. That's why he was getting those hard to breathe moments. It was miniature panic attacks from the fear, the thought of losing Ellie, and how that brings him back emotionally to his own daughter. And so, yeah, it was that. Thank you so much. All right, cool. You got it. And that good pirate joke. Always appreciate a good pirate joke. I don't think I read it right. The kind of folks that would steal your car. There we go. So that's it, you guys. That's the episode. Okay, so let me take a look at what we scored last week's. I think I put it here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. So Jeremy gave this last week's episode an 8.5. I gave it an 8.9 because, again, I thought, just emotionally speaking, it was really, really good. And this episode, I think, challenges that score. I think I will go 1 point higher on this. I'm trying to look for a pen so I can write this score down so I don't forget for next week. Where is my pen? Where are you, pen? Here we go. I got a pen. So this week, I think, again, it was a little slower episode. But obviously it was going to be a slower episode after that last just monster attack from episode 5. But the acting in this one was really good. It was really, really good. And it was a pivotal scene or a pivotal episode to sort of establish that Ellie and Joel are never going to split up. It's ride or die, So I think I'm going to give this one a solid 9, a straight, no points, no 0.1, 0.2. This is a 9.0. And so the episodes keep getting better. They keep getting better, according to my scores. So I'm excited to see what these last, we got 4 more episodes left. I'm curious what you guys thought of this episode out there. Please leave your scores in the live chat and I'll read them out. And if not, if you're watching our replay, leave it in the comment section below. I'm curious to know what you guys thought of episode 6. Yeah, it was a good one. It was a really, really good one. So that's today's show, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Again, next week, we're going to have, Jeremy's going to be back in the house. And I'm going to try and have Jeremy back as many times as humanly possible because I think he's great for these reviews, especially coming from the perspective of a writer, a legitimate writer here in Los Angeles, California. The guy's just got a great perspective on films and the creation of sort of story arcs and a season of television. So yeah, and he's just fun to talk to. He's a really funny guy. So he'll be back next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Tomorrow, I'm going to be reviewing keto bread, the absolute savior of my life the last 2 months. If you don't know, I have been on an insanely strict diet for 2 months. No carbs, no sugar. And the one thing that has saved me has been this keto bread, because I can still eat sandwiches, I can make sausages and eat it with this keto bread. I'm going to go into all the details tomorrow. If it's not at your supermarket and you're looking to cut carbs or get on any sort of keto diet, I'm going to spill some secrets here for you guys tomorrow. I was like, man, this bread. We went to the supermarket today and it was sold out. The secret's out. The secret's out. It's delicious. But anyway, we're going to be covering that tomorrow at 4 o'clock for regular Blue reviews. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing a stream tonight. I'm going to be editing, I think, most of the night. We'll see. It depends on how I'm feeling. But yeah, getting into this workflow, figuring things out. Our clips are doing gangbusters and doing really, really well. And some of the clips I was editing today are even funnier and better. And the workflow of that is just getting faster and faster and faster and faster. So you might be able to start putting 2 clips out per day. I don't know. But it's great because it's driving traffic to the channel. If you haven't subscribed on Twitch and you're watching on Twitch, but we haven't subbed to our Twitch where we game, the Twitch channel is called The Extinguisher 986. The link is the first thing you see in the description below. Go over there and subscribe. We're trying to get to 100 subs. We got up to 84 last night. And which was, we were trying to hit 100 subs by last night. And when we set the goal, we were at below 50 and we got to 84. I mean, we were only 16 short of our goal, which I think is insanely impressive. I think that Twitch is going to keep getting more and more. It's going to be the best gaming channel anywhere in about 6 months. So I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are as well. Other than that, you guys, thank you so much for coming aboard, listening to the episode, getting weird with me here on another episode of Blue Reviews. Have a great night, y'all.